Good morning everybody and welcome to Murrumbateman Field Days for 2019. My name is Michelle O'Neill and I own a little business called Cherry Tree Equine, and a lot of my business revolves around doing horsemanship clinics, and as part of it, my horsemanship clinics, we do a lot of groundwork. I'm really big on doing groundwork that actually relates to what you're going to do under saddle. Okay, I'm not one of that. You won't come to one of my clinics and spend 3 weeks doing groundwork and not actually getting on your horse, because that's not what we're about. I don't know about all of you, but I spend a lot of time breeding these horses and training these horses so I can actually go out and ride them and compete with them. And so this little mare, she's a little mare called Tilly. She's just 5 years old. Has been injured most of her life, hasn't been anywhere much. So she's the sort of horse that's a really good candidate to make sure her groundwork is really good, okay? Because, you know, at the end of the day, that is an unpredictable animal, okay? That's an animal that has evolved over 70,000 years, running away from lions, tigers, and man. So here we are, we've, spent 70,000 years nearly where horses have been basically a meat source for man, and now suddenly we want to saddle them, we want to ride them, we want to do trick riding on them, we want to barrel race them, we want to do dressage on them, we want to do all this stuff, and that goes against everything that this horse is evolved to do. So if I can overcome a lot of that horse's fear and concern before I get on their back, if I can build this horse's confidence and this horse knows that I am going to look after her before I ever swing my leg over her back, I'm going to be a lot safer, she's going to have a better life, and the whole experience is going to be a lot more enjoyable. So if any of you were here yesterday, this little mare, yesterday morning when she did the groundwork demonstration, she thought this whole world was going to eat her. She's never seen sideshows and flapping tents, and it was windy yesterday and the tractor pull was going, and she was a little out of her element yesterday, and she was genuinely scared. And I can tell you, you probably couldn't have paid me enough money to just throw the saddle on her and swing my leg over and get on. Okay. Yesterday we did the groundwork session out here. Today she's come out, that groundwork session yesterday has built her confidence in that there's nothing that scary going on here, and today she's a lot more relaxed and calm about the situation. Yesterday she was trying to stand on my toes because she thought that was the safest place to be. So already with one groundwork session out here exposing her to everything, she's already a better horse today. Now, of course, the thing is, I didn't just pull this mare out of the paddock on Friday and drive down to Murrumbateman and suddenly decide I'm going to teach her groundwork. This horse, she started her groundwork education the day I weaned her. Okay, so she's come in and out and had bits and pieces of groundwork her whole life now. So all of this work, and this is the same with your ridden work, all of the work that you put in your horses, make sure you do it at home. Don't just wait and go out to an event and suddenly decide you need to groundwork your horse because you're a bit scared. Make sure your groundwork is really, really solid at home, where you're in a controlled environment and your horse feels comfortable. Because the last thing you want to try and do is teach your horse a new skill in a new environment where they're threatened and stuff's going on that they feel could hurt them. So, I'm really big on personal space with my horses. I'm not against, and I've had people ask me at clinics, do I ever pat my horses? I am not against you being able to pat your horse. You can go up and kiss and cuddle and love on that sucker as much as you like. But if I don't want, like, she weighs, 450, 500 kilos. I don't need that mare standing on my foot, okay? I make my living standing up. So if I've got broken toes, things aren't going to be real good for a few weeks. So, I want to make sure that this mare is confident enough in me, her environment and herself, that I don't have to be standing here like fussing all like she thinks I'm just going to make a move. Fussing all over and going, oh, it's okay, sweetie, it's okay, Like, horses don't do that to each other in the paddock. So why do we think it helps them when we're on the ground? So you can see I didn't pull on this rope. So the mare sort of thought about coming to me, but she went, oh, hang on a minute. Michelle just walked away. It wasn't an invitation to walk to her. If I want her to walk to me, I'm going to gently pull on the rope. But when my feet stop, her feet should stop. When I walk toward her, she should get out of my space. Now, body language is such a big thing in everything we do. And one of the things I see people battle with a little bit when they start their horsemanship journey is understanding how important their body language is in relation to how their horse reacts. So if I walk up to this mare and I'm calm and relaxed, she's not going to go anywhere, okay? But if I walk up to this mare and I have my shoulders back and I'm striding toward her, and yes, I'm carrying a stick, that mare should be looking to get out of my way, okay? There is a difference in what and how I move that tells her what I'm going to expect. Now, if you want to think about how that relates to when you ride, how many of you have ever had a riding lesson where you've been told to sit up, open your shoulders, look up and look forward to make your horse go forward? If you're riding your horse along and you want him to do an extended trot, I'll guarantee you'll battle to get that extended trot if you're sitting on your horse like this, okay? If any of you have ever been to watch those really good dressage riders, when they want those horses to step out and move forward, their body is up and they are focused on forward. That is your body language in your ride, okay? So this is the same thing on the ground. We're talking about how my body language affects this horse's behaviour. It will be the same whether I am riding or whether I am on the ground with her. So I play a bit of a game with my horses where I ask them to give to pressure and then I ask them to move away from pressure, okay? So if I back away and don't tug on that rope, that mare should stay wherever I put her. If I gently apply pressure to that rope, she should step to me. If I gently apply pressure, she should step to me. If I walk away from her and don't apply pressure, she should stay where she is. If I walk up to her in a calm and relaxed and soft manner with a soft body language, she should stay where she is. If I walk away, calm and relaxed, no pressure on the rope, she should stay where she is. If I walk toward her with energy in my stride and my body, she should be looking to get out of my way. So already I'm teaching this mare that how I behave and how I react will have an effect on what I expect her to do. And here's the thing. People battle with that a little bit because especially teenagers, and any of you who work with teenagers will get this. You ask a teenager to use their energy to make a horse move, and most of them go like this. Most of them just shuffle along, okay? And I think it's a bit of a confidence thing as you get older too. You know, if I open my body up, I want that horse to move, okay? So another really good example of this, and again, relating our groundwork to our ridden work, okay? I spend a fair bit of time at the start with my young horses disengaging their hindquarters and getting them to step around. And the reason why, again, I want them to do that is getting them to move off pressure and preparing them for the day when I put my leg back in here and I ask this mare to shift her hip. She already knows how to move her hip, okay? It makes my ridden work really easy. And I these days I do all the groundwork on my horses, but I send them to a friend to ride for the first month or so, because I'm away so much and I just don't have time to do a good enough job. And it makes his job really easy because he just gets on and all the buttons are already there. Okay, he just then has to teach my horses how to do it under saddle. Okay, so something's pretty scary up there. So if you're going to do something like get your horse to move away from pressure, so in this case, if I'm going to ask this mare to disengage her hindquarters, so I'm going to ask this hind leg to step up underneath her body, okay, we need to spend a little time getting her used to the stick first. Like the last thing you want to do is walk in here and start wailing on this horse, because you don't want to make the horse ever think that there's a surprise involved in horse training, okay? The more we can take the surprises out of our horse training, the better our horse training will be. So I want my horse to know what's going to happen. So my body language is calm and relaxed. I'm just rubbing her with the stick. There's nothing about what I'm doing that is telling this mare to move. Now, when I change my focus in a minute onto this hip, this mare better be thinking about disengaging her hindquarters. So I'm going to start focusing, and straight away you can see she moved off the pressure. Now, of course, I'm not like, that wasn't the most perfect disengagement movement in the world, but I'm really big in all my horse training on rewarding the slightest try. Okay, so I never tapped that mare with the stick. I never even looked like hitting with the stick. I changed my focus, picked that stick up, and that mare was moving. I'm not going to punish her. I'm not going to push her harder. I'm not going to ask her to step again. I'm going to stop her, or let her stop at that moment, and give her some time to soak on that lesson. Okay? Horses learn by the release of pressure. Okay, so every time I release the pressure off this mare, she will look to repeat that behaviour. Okay, because there's her reward. So if I put pressure on her by using my body language and raising a stick, and that mare steps, that wasn't good enough. There. Okay, I'm going to stop straight away. I'll ask her again. This time I'll ask her for a couple of steps, because this mare does know how to do this. And you guys see I never had to hit her with the stick once. Okay, all I did was use my body language to get this mare to move off me. Now, I'm not saying I won't tap them with the stick, and when they start you often do, but you start with just using the stick without touching, and then gently touching and increasing the pressure until you get the desired response, which is in this case disengaging the hindquarters. Okay, when I get that, I will take the pressure away. And this is why I don't have to tap this mare with a stick, because she knows if I set myself up, look towards the hip, raise the stick, she knows I want her to step around. So she knows as soon as she steps around, I'm going to go, good girl. And you know, that's what's important in horse training. It's not treats and pats and all that stuff. It's rewarding the behaviour by letting your horse do nothing. Okay? Now, how does that relate to when you ride? Well, like I said, it's that first time I put my leg back and I want that horse to step its hip over, the horse already knows how to do it. That then leads to opening and closing gates. It leads to lateral work. It leads to like exercises, anything where you need that horse to push their hip over. If you're a camp drafter, it might be moving across the pen and blocking a cow up, okay? So, and it also relates to our one rein stops. Now, one rein stops are our first thing to teach our horses. And how we start those on the ground is by simply asking the horse to flex. So standing here in the girth area with our feet facing forward and bringing our hand out and around. You can see she's a little focused on the sheep down in the creek. Okay? When she gives her face and stops moving her feet, I will take the pressure away. Till she does that, I'm going to go with her. The effect of being in a location. We have 2,500 acres with sheep, and there's sheep down there walking down the creek that she's decided going to eat her alive. Okay. So a different location, a different environment, hence why it is so important to have these tools in your toolkit to be able to get this horse to come back to you. There you go. Feet are standing still, but she's still pulling on the rope. She stop pulling on the rope, so I let go of her face. When her feet, can you guys see, like now she's not pulling on the rope, but her head's going all over the place like a ping pong ball? Okay, that's not her being focused on me. That's her going, I'm looking for the answer. I'm looking for how to make this, that's better. I'm looking at how to make this go away, but I haven't quite got it yet. Ask her again. That was a little quicker. And you might notice that I actually make sure I drop the rope, okay? Now the reason is a lot of people, when they're learning exercises like this, they have trouble letting go. I don't know what that says about us all. So they actually hang on here, and the mare would give, and they'd still have pressure on the rope. Well, there's no release there. And you can see by me not releasing, see how the mare's getting agitated now? Okay? And now she's going to start moving because she went, well, hang on a minute, I gave to that rope and you didn't let, I don't know what you want. So she starts looking for another answer, okay? You know, all we want to do in our horse training is get these horses to think, how do I get this idiot to leave me alone? Okay, that is all it's about. I want this mare to look for an answer that means I will leave her alone, okay? So, in this case, leaving her alone is when she flexes around here and she's soft and I drop that rope. Now that she's starting to pay a little more attention to me, you guys can see as soon as I let her go, she snaps her head back. I don't want that, okay? I don't want that. I want a horse that stays with me. And one of the reasons I want this is the first thing I do when I ride horses is I get on and I flex them, okay? Flex them left and right. And I personally can't stand that, and there is a place for it, but if you get on a horse and you flex it, and then as soon as you let it go, it snaps its head back, okay? I don't want that. I want a horse that waits on me. I want a horse that's focused on me. So what I want this mare to do is I want her, when I ask her to give, and I let go and reward her, I actually want her to stay here. So how I teach her to do this is every time she takes her head away, I'm just going to pick it back up again. As soon as she goes away, I'll pick her back up. Those of you who saw this mare do this demo yesterday will know how much better this is already. She's got a little pressure, there, let her go. She goes to straighten up, I pick her up. What I want to be able to do is stand here and pat her on the forehead while she waits. A little better, still not great. Now she's like, oh, there must be a tractor moving or something. No, I never get agitated about it. Like, don't get irritated if your horse is a little fractious like this mare is. You know, they think differently to how we do, okay? We're a predator. Things differently. So, this mare's base desire is to survive, and she's a little concerned that there's a fair few things at Murrumbateman Field Days that are going to devour her alive, okay? So if I was working on this at home, I would keep repeating this until this mare will wait on me, okay? You guys can see she's sort of looking to get out of here all the time because she's more concerned about what I'm asking her to do, okay? Now how do we end it? You saw I just walk forward. That's how we end it. If I want to stop this, the last thing I want to do is spend all this time getting this mare to flex and bend and me, and when I've had enough, I've just kind of let go and start looking around, okay? Because I just undid all my training. What I want to do is I want to be the one that breaks the bond. I ask her to flex here, and she flexes and she's soft. There we go. I walk forward and she gets out of my space. So it's building on that first exercise whereby when I walk toward her with energy, she should get out of my space. So I'm starting to put the elements together. So I've already now on the ground, I've got a horse that I've actually taught to back up, that I have taught to give to pressure, that I have taught to disengage its hindquarters, that I've taught to move off pressure on its hindquarters and start its lateral work, that I've taught to flex, and I've prepared it for the one-range stop. Haven't even gone and got the saddle off the fence yet. Okay? How much easier does that make my life? Okay? If I can do all this stuff while I've got 2 feet firmly planted on the ground, I don't know about you guys, but I am too old these days to ride buck jumpers and all that stuff, okay? I don't have the time to get over accidents like that. So, I'm really big on desensitising my horses to stuff because, you know, you never know what's going to happen. Like if you're out on a trail ride or you're at an event or you're doing something, you never quite know what might be around the corner, okay? So the more things I can expose my horse to that might be scary, the easier my life with that horse is going to be, okay? So I will use plastic bags on the end of sticks. I'll use strings on the end of sticks. I'll use my rope. Okay, whatever I can do to expose this horse to stuff. So a stick and string is a really good thing to use. And when I first started doing clinics, like, it was amazing how many horses had never had this kind of stuff done to them and would just panic. And I've got to say, the level of horsemanship has improved over the years because the horses are getting better at this stuff. But you know what, someone still has to teach them. So, you know, if I have a stick and a string, I'm going to spend a little time desensitizing this horse to the stick and string first. So you can see I'm putting it round her legs. Like, and I will try and wrap it round her legs. It's no good to me like just throwing it in there, okay? We had a buckskin horse that he old as a breaker. He actually, I rode him into a whole heap of hinge joint, see in the bush. And this horse was so tough, wrapped around his legs and all that, that when he walked in, he just stopped. And on a different horse that hadn't had the groundwork that horse had, like I said, he was only a breaker, he, you know, anything could have happened, okay? But we rode into it, and as soon as I heard it, that horse just and went, what do you want me to do now? Okay? So I've spent a little time just getting this mare used to the stick and string. Sometimes it'll get stuck, that's great. Okay, sometimes you might accidentally whack them, like, you know, you know, it's only getting them used to stuff. And then what you do is you now start to get movement on the string. Now, the thing is, being prey animals, they anything that moves or makes a noise. Okay? So this string, stick and string, it moves and it makes a hell of a good noise here in a minute. Okay? So if I can get this mare, again, used to scary stuff, it's going to mean that when I ride her, if something happens that's a little out of our control, she's going to be able to handle that. So we start, if you've never done this with your horse, start on one side, start facing away from your horse, okay? Because we as predators, all predators, have two eyes in the front of our head, okay? A horse or any other prey animal, cow, whatever, they all have eyes on the side of their head, and that gives them a nearly 360-degree view, whereas we have a more narrow and more focused vision. So if I stand here and stare at this horse with two eyes, you can see she straight away went, oh, I don't know about that. Okay, so I want to make this as non-threatening to the horse the first time I do it as possible. So don't face your horse, okay, slightly off-centre. I introduce a stock whip in a fairly similar kind of way. Okay, and then just slow, obviously this mare's had this done to her before, but you will slowly get closer and you'll slowly work toward facing her. Now if your horse has never done this and they start to move, okay, let them move, but keep this up, because remember, a horse will always repeat a rewarded response. So if this mare was to take off right now and start running circles around me and I went, oh, it's okay, and I stopped and I walked and I just went, oh, stop now please, I've just taught my horse to do the wrong thing. Okay, I've taught my horse that if something's scary, she should run away and the pressure will go away. What I need this mare to know is that if there's something scary going on, it will be okay. And I'm going to do that again in a controlled environment. So what you want to do is get to the point where you can face your horse with two eyes and have that stick going right beside her. Now, if your horse, say your horse never done this and you got to that and they were standing like that, that'd be pretty good. You can stop then, okay? You can stop then. Stop, do something else, come back tomorrow, whatever, it doesn't matter, okay? But we just increased the pressure on that mare and she did not move, and that is what we're looking for. So now, when you've done this a bit with your horse, again, we're trying to introduce as much pressure as possible on the ground. What you want to work toward is where you can put pressure from one side to the other, because what you will have done is you will have worked on one side, then worked on the other side. But once you get up to where this mare is, Now you guys can see her ears are flicking and she's a little like, oh, I don't know about this. But she didn't move, okay? She didn't move. And of course, what am I going to do afterwards? I'm going to desensitise her to the stick and string again. So what I like about this mare, you guys can all see, she's resting a hind foot. Okay, you've got about 5 signs of release that tell you that your horse is understanding the session and that they're relaxed. Resting your hind foot is one of them. Like and now she's having a lick and a chew. Okay, so she's not scared by this. She went a bit, oh, I don't know about it, but she's now resting her other hind foot. So now, if you're working with your horse, you can start again. Get closer. And then when you're ready, start increasing the pressure. Okay. That's really good if you've got stronger arms than me. She looks really concerned. Okay. But always make sure if you're doing an exercise like that and you're sensitising the horse, always make sure you end with a desensitising where you're going, here you go, you know, this is okay, we just did that, there's nothing to be scared about. Okay? Good girl. But, so, you know, there's just a few of the exercises that I use in relation to groundwork to help me with my ridden work. If you want to know or see any more of them, that we have got a heap up on the YouTube channel, but come and ask me. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day at the field days, guys.